Hi, this is Rock. Let's take a look at SUMIF and SUMIFS. These two functions are very similar, the main difference being that with SUMIF you can use one criterion, whereas with SUMIFS you can have one-to-many criteria for why you are summing a particular set of values. So let's look at expenses. So we'll say expense type here, and then here we're going to say expense. Over here I'm going to say air travel. We've got lodging, car rental, meals, parking. Let's say these are our expenses. I'm going to make a list of expenses here, and let's say here we're going to do a random number between 1,000 and 100,000, but then I'm going to divide it by 100 because that'll give me a good way to give a decimal place in there. So I'm going to do that, and please ignore the fact that some of these costs may not make sense for the particular expense type. I'm just pulling something together to prove a point or to show how the function works. So I'm going to copy this, put a list over here of those, and then I'm going to remove the duplicates. So what this is then is a way to choose if in here we have a drop-down, a data validation list of this, then we can choose in here which one we want, and then we can say total here. All right, so in here I'm going to make this a SUMIF function. And let's sum. If we want to make the criteria something about the expense itself, so something about the range, we could say something like, show me the total of everything that is greater than 400. And I'm putting those in quotes, including the greater than sign. So this gives me the total of everything that's over $400. Let me move this up here. And I'll put a filter in here so that if I have it greater than $400 and I look at this total, it's $10,674.77. So this SUMIF is giving me that answer. But let's say I want to base it not on something like is greater than 400, but let's say I want to have it based on this expense type that I chose, in which case the range that I need to select is this. And then the criteria needs to come next, which is this. And then the sum range would then become the expense. If we're going to use a criterion that is not part of the sum range, using SUMIF, that means that the range needs to come first, the range that applies to the criteria, and then the sum range as an optional. So this is for the situation where you're going to use a criterion that is not in the sum range itself. That's for car rental. So to check to see if that's the case, we can filter for car rental, select this, and it is 1,694. So that is working. I can change this to something else. Let's say meals. It's saying 2,289. If I filter for meals and select this, you can see down here 2,289. So the SUMIF function is working. Let's add a few other criteria here though. Let's say employee, and let's give a few names here. So this one is the SUMIF. And over here, I can do the SUMIFS. And I can say this same type of thing, but we'll also have employee, and then let's have month here. And we'll have, and I'm going to grab these and make it longer so that we have more to choose from here. And then I'm going to make a few more of these. Okay, so we have employee, and then we'll have month. And then we can make the months drop down be any of these first 12 months. And then for the employee, it can be, I need to create an employee list. I'll grab these, copy them, paste the values, and remove the duplicates. And I'll also sort them. There we go. And then we can do that for the drop down for the employees as a list. Now let's fix this. If we do SUMIFS, the way SUMIFS works is you start with a sum range. Then you have these pairs of criteria ranges and criteria. So here's criteria range 1 and then criteria 1. And then you can do a criteria range 2 and a criteria 2 optionally. So how that works is, let me first select the range that we're going to have the expenses come from. So there's that. And then the first thing we're going to do here is choose criteria range 1. So the first thing we're going to do is type. Since going left to right, that's what we got here. So I'm going to choose this as the type. And then for the criteria itself, we're going to choose that cell, since that will be driving what our choice is. And then the next one is going to be the employee. So I'm going to grab this, and the criteria for that is going to be this cell, and then the month, and then where we choose that month is right here. So it might be easier if you use Alt-Enter to create a carriage return to go over to the side here to put the pairs together like this. If you see here, I've got, this is going to be where I'm summing my expenses from. This is going to be where I'm grabbing the expense type from and its criteria. And this is the employee range and the criteria, and the month range and the criteria. So if I hit enter here, I'll get that total, which is 0. So Katie did no traveling in January. We know that Katie did some traveling in March, so if I choose March, I see the amount that she had there for meals. Did she have any other? No. This is a quick way to be able to tell by expense type, employee, or month what this total is. That's how SUMIFS works. It has some range first, and then a number of pairs of the ranges with the criteria you want to choose. This is an extremely valuable function that I use all the time. There are certainly ways to make it more complex, more user-friendly, to match what you're trying to find out, but this is a simple example. So that is SUMIF and SUMIFS. Next, we're going to talk about average if and average ifs. See you then.